Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to NAMMBA's first Town Hall College Series. As we're logging on and everyone's getting situated, if you can hear and see the screen that says NAMMBA Connect Grow Lead, can you please send me a message through the chat function that you can hear and see the screen? Great. Okay, well, hey, thank you very much. If you guys just sit tight for about another minute, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first college town hall. We got a lot of great, exciting information to share. And so we will be coming back here really soon just to get started. So stay tuned. Hi, everyone. This is Tony Thompson with NAMMBA. First of all, thank you for joining in. We're going to be getting started here in just a second. We're waiting for one of our other panelists to join us, but I am getting ready to come on live. So hopefully you guys will be seeing my face here in just a second, because we're going to go ahead and get started with today's first town hall. Okay. Well, first of all, welcome to NAMMBA, to our NAMMBA Town Hall. For those who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Tony Thompson. I am the founder and CEO of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers of America, also known as NAMMBA. Today, we are excited to be launching the first of a monthly series town hall. So first of all, thank you to all the students who are joined. We're also live on Facebook. We have a tremendous amount of students joining us from Facebook as well. So certainly in next month's presentation, please share this town hall, this meeting with all of your fellow students across the country. We're going to share with you, and our goal today is to introduce you to careers in the mortgage industry. We want to share with you resources that will help you begin to understand opportunities that may exist in real estate finance. And also, we're going to bring to you over the series of the next month, several months, executives and leaders in our industry who are going to share their journeys, their stories, their role in the industry, what they do, what their organizations do, and how they impact and how we impact our industry. And then last but not least, we've got a lot of exciting job opportunities. I know for many of you who are in college or just recently graduated, you know, it may appear that the employment environment is a little soft, but in the mortgage industry and in the real estate finance industry, I am so excited to say that we are hiring. We have lots of companies who are looking for great students who are out there like yourself on today's webinar for interns, co-ops, and even full-time opportunities. So at the end of the day, our goal is to help connect 50,000 students to careers in our industry. Our town hall is going to be one way that we begin to get the word out and share with you what's going on in the industry, exciting careers that we have, and then most importantly, an opportunity to connect and hear from leaders and companies in our industry so that ultimately we can get you a job and an opportunity within our industry. Today's town hall agenda is a quick welcome by me. The first session that we have is a HR roundtable. So we have a couple of phenomenal HR leaders from great companies that you've heard about. And if not, you're going to learn about some great companies today. They're going to share their role, their organization, but also a little bit about their career journeys as well. And then fall behind that, we're going to have a state of the industry where we're going to have one of our leaders in our mortgage and real estate finance industry is going to come on and talk about what's going on in the mortgage industry. Even though we're in a recession, what does it mean to you as a college student? And then last but not least, we're going to share with you some exciting news of resources that are totally free. I did say the key word, free resources to help you as a college student grow your career, connect and learn more with great companies and great leaders through our hashtag Student Challenge. Having said that, we're going to now try to jump right into the first part. So first, a little bit about NAMMBA and myself. My name is Tony Thompson again. I'm the founder CEO. I've been in the industry a number of years, and we started NAMMBA for two primary reasons. One, to help mortgage and real estate professionals who are currently in the industry grow their careers by providing them with training, education, and professional development. And the second part of our mission is what we're doing here is we want to connect with college and also high school students in the future and do two things. One, provide you with financial literacy education so that we can help each of you become homeowners in your neighborhoods and your communities throughout the country in the future. And then the second piece is to introduce you to exciting careers in the industry. I got started in the mortgage industry like most people who did. I fell into it. My first job was in human resources. And so from that, I was able to learn about the industry. And about 18 years ago, I transitioned from an HR leader role into a mortgage leader role. And I've been loving this industry ever since because it's one of very few industries where you get to impact people's lives. Buying a home is one of the top three things that most people do. Home, marriage, and birth of a child are one of the top three experiences. And we who are in this industry day in and day out get to impact and be a part of helping people's dreams come true. And for me, that's very exciting. It's very enriching. That's why we have our commitment here at NAMMBA to connect 50,000 students like you on Facebook, here on the video. We want to connect and introduce some exciting careers. And we have an opportunity for anyone and everyone just about in our industry. And you're going to learn about those opportunities over the next several months as we do the town hall and introduce you to the resources that we've created just to help you grow. Now, having said that, we're going to get into what this is all about. We're going to start introducing you to some phenomenal companies and phenomenal leaders. And so I'm going to ask Jill Olmstead as well as Nathaniel Bennett And I think we're waiting on Willie here. Hopefully he'll be jumping in. Willie French to come on. If you can turn on your cameras, guys, and we're going to go ahead and start the first session here. Great. All right. Well, first of all, where you go, Nathaniel? There we go. I would like to, and we also will be having, hopefully here in a few moments, Willie French, who will be joining us as well. Our HR Executive Roundtable is an exciting session that we're going to have every month, where we're going to be bringing on great leaders who are HR leaders in their respective organizations as well as in our industry. And they're going to share a lot of perspectives. They're going to share some motivation. They're going to share some career guidance. And they're going to also talk about just opportunities in our industry, certainly within their company and what their company does and how their company impacts our industry. And at the same time, we want to give you an opportunity to also speak and get information from these executives that you're seeing. So anytime you have a question, send that question through the chat function. If you're on Facebook, you can message us and that question will get to me as well. So first, I would like to introduce Willie French, who's the Senior Vice President of Human Resources for Cornerstone Lending, who will be coming on here right now. There's Willie. Secondly, I would like to introduce Jill Olmstead. Jill is the Chief Human Resources Officer for Lending Tree. And then last but not least, Nathaniel Bennett, who's the Chief Diversity Officer, Senior Vice President for Comerica Bank. First of all, Jill, Willie, and Nathaniel, can you guys hear me okay?
Can.
Yes.
Great. First of all, let me just thank you guys for being with us on the official launch of our first NAMMBA College Town Hall. We're going to be doing this every month to connect with thousands of college students across the country. So as a reminder, we are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, so keep smiling. And then we're here on the webinar as well, where we have students piping into the webinar. We're going to get right into it, guys, because ultimately I would love for you to begin to connect and talk to the students. So first, let's have each of you, Willie, we'll start with you, go to Jill, and then Nathaniel. I would love for each of you to share a little bit about your organization in your role, given that we have college students from across the country, various majors, who may or may not know about your organization. So Willie, we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Very, very glad to be here. My name is Willie French. I'm the Senior Vice President of Human Resources for Cornerstone Home Lending. And online, that's houseloan.com if you wanted to check that out as well. Cornerstone is a full-service mortgage broker, the largest non-bank banking broker in Texas. But we're headquartered in Houston, Texas, founded in '88, so just a little over 30 years old. We're in 41 states, have over 200 branches. We have a little bit over 1,700 team members currently. And we've been very busy, over the last, really since the pandemic started with the low interest rates and so forth. So definitely tremendous opportunities that we've experienced in growth, and we're definitely hiring as well. But I'm definitely glad to be here. I did attend an HBCU, Morehouse College is my undergraduate, and I went to undergraduate school at University of Dallas. I've been in human resources my entire career, which is almost 30 years. I don't want to date myself too much, but it's been quite a while. And I've been with Cornerstone for the last 5 years. So it's been a great journey, and I'm definitely glad to speak to you here today.
Now, Willie, while they may see your title as Vice President of Human Resources, can you just quickly, what does that mean? What scope of responsibilities? So that, again, these students will understand the role of a human resources leader at a company.
Absolutely. So I'm dealing with what our most precious and important asset are human resources, our people, which we call team members. And so human resources, I lead a team of, I have a dozen staff members that handle different aspects of human resources, which include, recruiting and hiring individuals, onboarding individuals, and then we progress our team through our various stages of employment life. So that can, we develop our team members, We coach them, we provide performance evaluations and so forth. We provide benefits, compensation to them, making sure that legally, we're compliant in the areas from an employment law perspective. And then we go through the full cycle in terms of exiting our team members as well, to retirement or other means as well. So it's really the full employment life cycle. So we get very involved, obviously, with the to getting to know our team members well. And I've enjoyed it. It's a great journey. So if Tony mentioned that he had started his career in HR, and I think that gives you a great foundation, regardless if you stay in HR or go to other areas. But it definitely helps you relate to people and understand kind of what's going on internally and how that impacts the our external sales force and so forth.
Great. Thank you, Willie, for that. Next up, we have Jill Olmstead with Lending Tree.
Hey, everybody. And also I want to add Willie's remarks. Thanks for having us. And it's impressive that you all are already spending time networking this way and learning as college students. So good for you for participating in this. I am with Lending Tree. Lending Tree is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, but our footprint is across the United States. And think of Lending Tree like a financial marketplace. It's almost like if you were to go on a dating site or a travel site and you punch in, here's where I want to go, and then you have 15 offers that come up of where you may want to go and what it will cost you. That's what we do for financial services. So somebody comes in and says, I need a credit card, punch in a little bit of information, and we will connect them to credit card providers. We also do that for mortgages. That's how we were first known and seen. I would say that business for us has been, while we're feeling the COVID impacts, business has actually been very strong, mainly because of the rates in the mortgage industry. People are very interested in refinancing, purchasing new homes. So we're seeing a lot of activity on our sites there as well. That's a little bit about Lending Tree.
Great. And Jill, from a perspective of human resources and within your role, typically, can you share with the students what type of background in terms of degrees and things of that nature, maybe students who would want to learn about a career in HR, what would you recommend there?
Yeah, so Lending Tree in general, because we are more of a financial tech industry or company, we really are looking for people with engineering degrees. We are looking for people with marketing degrees. We're a big marketing company. People who do a lot of social media work. That's where we hire a lot of our students off campuses for that work. And then in human resources, I really agree with Willie. It's such a great bedrock place to start a career because you're learning so much about all across the areas of a company. And you can really dig in and understand the business that you're in much better because you kind of got that global point of view. So we are looking for people who have not only strong technical capabilities, strong marketing capabilities, but also people who can adapt to change. They can think very quickly on their feet. Those are some of the things that we're looking for in people that we're hiring.
Thank you very much, Jill. We're glad you're able to join us. Last but not least, Nathaniel Bennett, Chief Diversity Officer for Co-America Bank.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And Tony, thank you for the invitation. I've been really recruiting students off college campuses since 1997. So probably long before many of the individuals on this call were born. But I'm with Co-America Bank. Co-America Bank, we are about a $80 billion commercial bank. We would be classified as a regionally sized financial institution. And we've been around we just celebrated our 171st birthday in the last week or so. So we've been around for a long time. Co-America was originated out of Detroit, Michigan. And back in 2007, we relocated our corporate headquarters from Detroit down to Dallas, Texas, where I've been a part of Co-America for the last 11 years. But when we think about Co-America Bank, we are a bank for businesses. The vast majority of what we do is focus on business banking, whether it be small business, middle market size, or large corporate. That's who we are. And when we think about how we focus on the mortgage industry, most of what we do on the mortgage side is we are a bank for lenders, for large lenders. where we provide large warehouse lines of credit for those lenders to be able to loan and lend money out to potential buyers, et cetera. We do have opportunities when we think about individuals coming into roles like a private banker that are working with private clients that need jumbo mortgages, et cetera. But primarily for the most part, Comerica's focus on the mortgage industry is primarily on the business side of that perspective. I did have the opportunity to spend 5 years with Bank of America, leading their talent organization, primarily on the mortgage lending side. I reported to the president of that division for those 5 years. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in mortgage banking today. When we think about Comerica, we're located primarily in Texas, California, and also Michigan, but I have operations in Arizona and Florida, Mexico, Canada as well. And then we have some other small operations in Boston, New York, Colorado, et cetera. But looking forward to having this conversation today, Tony.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much. Speaking of Arizona, shout out, I think you saw somebody when they first logged on, they said Arizona Wildcats. So shout out to Arizona Wildcats, and we thank you guys for joining us today. So let's get into it and talk about, the industry. It's no secret that our industry is going through a tremendous amount of change. That's the mortgage industry again, for the students on the call and on the webinars. As a leader, what do you see as the greatest challenge for our industry over the next 12 months from an HR perspective? And so we'll start with Jill, we'll go to Willie, and then Nathaniel.
Everybody is living through this disruption we're experiencing right now from a pandemic standpoint. Just it leaves. We're all trying to figure this out as we go. We're doing the best planning we can, the best forecasting we can, but it really is going to depend on the market and how the economic market is going to play out. And so one of the things that we're finding is that we are having to almost month to month, quarter to quarter, kind of plan and prepare for our business and what we're going to need. So I'll go back to saying that I think one of the most important things, particularly for students coming out of school, to be really thinking about how can I live with ambiguity, which you're having to do right now across these college campuses, and how am I able to take myself and figure out how to be the best I can be given all of the disruption and changes that we've had. And so that's what we're having to do as a company right now. So we are, our biggest challenge as a company is that while we are trying to kind of hunker down and prepare for the next waves of the pandemic and the economic issues that we're going to have with that, we're also really trying to focus on how do we keep a growth mindset? How do we balance hunkering down and being efficient so that we get through this, but at the same time, we're not so locked down and being hunkered down that we're not thinking about how can we grow as a company. Are there companies that may be in distress that we could be purchasing right now, for example? Are there better products, better experiences for our customers to have, to want to be with us and come back to us and be very engaged with us? What do we need to be doing to adding to products with that? So what I would say, Tony, for us is what we're paying attention to right now is how do we keep balancing reading what's going to happen, reading the tea leaves, which is very hard to do. How do we make sure that we're running a good business while we're doing it, taking good care of our customers, but yet we're not losing sight of let's keep growing, let's keep expanding our the way we're viewing the world. And so, for example, we hunkered down and didn't do much hiring for the last 3 months. And now we're like opening back up the spigot because we know that we need to keep bringing in great talent to help us with our growth. So that's what we're experiencing. We're also paying a lot of attention to what's happening in the mortgage area and the mortgage markets right now, because how each of those markets do will have a direct impact on our business as well.
Great, great. Willie?
Very similar to Jill. So we're going to look at the next 12 months. I'm going to say 6 months of that is going to be, hopefully, we'll find an end, to this pandemic. But so in the meantime, we've been, hiring. We've had extremely high growth because of the interest rates. And so we as an essential business, we never closed, but we've had to learn how to manage remotely. And so we've had managers that have been adept at that because maybe they had a branch out of their home, and so they were used to that. But the majority of our team members, this is a new concept for them. And introducing the tools and the resources to help them manage the performance, to have the same expectations that they would have for someone at home versus someone at the office. So those are the type of tools that we're trying to equip our managers with, understanding that when we come out of this, hopefully early next year, that we're going to look very different. We may not have many individuals that are going to return to the office. We've been able to learn, those that have never worked from home or worked remotely, that they are able to be productive. And what does that do for our expenses? Do we need to enter these leases that we have and so forth? So we're managing the growth that's taking place right now due to the interest rates. But we're anticipating, what this is going to mean going forward from a remote working workforce and how we adapt to that. And what is going to be the new normal when we are able to fully, enter back into the offices and so forth like that. We're going to need to do that. So that's been the challenge. We've been very successful doing that, but we know that, we're going to have to place more focus in resources and tools, as we come out of this in the next 12 months.
Great. Thank you, Willie. And Nathaniel?
Yeah, no, so I would say not unlike Jill and Willie, have very similar focuses. We've looked at it really from two different components. One, always our colleague or our employees. Employees are obviously very important. So we've looked at in terms of what do our employees need during this time, during the pandemic, both from, we think about the COVID-19 disease, and then also we think about everything that's going on around social injustice, the social unrest that's going on in the world. So we've really have had a heavy focus on ensuring that our colleagues have what they need in order to work remotely, as Willie talked about, what technology resources are necessary for them to be in a remote work environment for 12 months or longer. And then what also do they need for their mental makeup, their psyche, in terms of many of them are working from home now, so they're balancing both work and home life, and those intersections are becoming, those lines are being very blurred today. So how do we help them manage through managing their activities, their times, their tasks, their efforts, their performance? How do we get them there? And then secondly, when we think about the second side, our customers and our clients, Comerica is what we call ourselves a relationship bank. And we can't grow and continue to prosper unless our clients and our customers can. So a lot of our efforts have been around what can we do today and also 12 months if this pandemic continues to ensure that they can remain viable, remain stable. What do we need to do to help their businesses grow in this time period? What do we need to do to help their businesses remain intact during this time period? And that's really a lot of our efforts have gone into. On the kind of the third side, which is dealing with people, a big part of my job, I'm the Chief Diversity Officer, but I also am the Head of Talent Acquisition, is thinking about having that conversation about race and equity within the workplace, race and equity in terms of what we do as a company to drive social change, public policy, public change in order to drive more equality. So we've been having a lot of conversations with our colleagues, with our managers, about what does that mean? How do we bring everyone together in an allyship perspective to drive social change and ensure that our communities are driving and they can sustain whatever we had before in the past, regardless if you're Black, Hispanic, white, Asian. We want to ensure that all those communities can continue to one, prosper, but also get on equal ground. So that's really where a lot of our intention, our focus has been as of late, but also will be for the next 12 months.
Great. Thank you, guys. And just as a reminder, our goal for all the students on the line, Jill or one of our panelists said it earlier, we realize that you've never had to deal with, nor have we, a pandemic. Probably in most instances over the last 5 to 10 years, you probably have not really had to encounter what we are in today, known as a recession. So our goal here at NAMMBA is over the next several months and over the next course of the next several years, we want to help you students and give you the resources to find those interns, to connect with the great leaders that we have on the phone today, the great companies and partners, so that ultimately you can navigate this new environment that we all are going through, whether it's in corporate America or whether it's in the education arena in terms of academics where you are today. So part of our goal as we continue to go on is understanding we want to help you navigate the environment that we're in and still be able to achieve your goals and your dreams of employment, of furthering your academic career, and ultimately learning about exciting jobs in our industry. So that's what this is all about for us as well. Next question. We'll start with Nathaniel, Jill, and Willie. What COVID-19 has impacted job opportunities for students across the board, from co-ops to interns to full-time. What advice would you give to students on building their network during this unique period of time, as I stated earlier, where they've never been in a recession most likely, and they've never been in a pandemic, both at the same time? How do they network if I'm in college? What would you tell me to do as an HR executive? Nathaniel, Jill, and then Willie.
Yeah, no, a good question. And I think, sometimes adversity brings prosperity in my mind. And obviously we're in an adverse situation. But what I mean by that is when we think about the opportunities that maybe existed last year, pre-COVID, co-ops, internships, they were growing and they were rather plentiful. Yes, there was some impact to those opportunities this past year, but companies like Comerica, we still found a way to conduct our full internship program this past year and convert it to a full virtual experience. So the opportunities out there still exist, but the opportunity from a greater perspective, it's really creating, at least for us, a bigger opportunity for us to do greater outreach. Now that we've moved really all of our campus recruitment to virtual activities, now instead of our focus on 23 campuses, we're reaching across the country to all campuses. So to the college students today, I think you want to ensure that you keep your finger and keep your foot on the gas, because the opportunities do exist. Make sure most of these campuses now today are working with Handshake, and many of the employers today are working through Handshake, their career centers, and are posting opportunities on an ongoing basis. I would say just cast the wide net. Have an understanding in terms of what you want to do, but cast a wide net. You have, on this particular call, you have 3 different organizations. You have one that's more of a fintech, you have one that's a direct lender on the mortgage side, and then us, that's a business bank. You never know in terms of what opportunity might exist within each one of those organizations. So casting a wide net, don't assume that you know a lot about a company just because you know Bank of America and you visit that banking center on down the street. Doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities that fit what you're looking for at other organizations. So explore, cast the wide net, be very aggressive, and be also, I think Jill mentioned it, be versatile. It's a very ambiguous environment, very ambiguous industry. So you got to be versatile and be ready to change on a dime at the same time. But that's what I would share with this particular group.
Great,
Now,
thanks, Nathaniel. Yep.
Yeah, Nathaniel, I'll just highlight a few things he said, because I'm in a violent agreement with him in that I do think this idea of casting a wide net right now is important. And I think in some ways it's so much harder to look for a job now or to get a job, because there's so many ways you can you know, you send out emails, you're on LinkedIn, you're doing your posts on campuses and interviews. But I would say cast a wide net. I will tell you what we are finding though, is those students who are able to say, I have a marketing degree and I really like social media and I might have an interest in this. If you can connect some dots, I think it makes it much easier for talent acquisition recruiting teams to be able to get you into the right place. If you send it out, I'm a marketing major and I'm interested in whatever you need me to do in marketing, it makes it almost harder to get you into a funnel. So do your research. Cast a wide net, do your research on companies, really try to understand what they do, what kind of openings they have, and then tailor your ask to what some of those openings may be in the company. The other thing I would say is, we'll probably talk more about this, Tony, is the use of networks, which can be very intimidating to think. I remember my son, when he was first networking, just thought that meant he would just get a job. And really what you'll find is just by casting a net, getting to know people, you'll start finding degrees of separation into companies. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, work that. Because you will have a 60 to 80% better shot at getting a job if you've got a connection somehow into that company. So really working that network and casting that net will pay off. It can be hard to do and a little bit intimidating to do at first, but once you do a couple of times, always ask people, who do you know? What advice do you give for me? Do you know somebody that's with Co-America? They can typically help you find your ways into companies. That's where we have seen our college students have their best success.
Great, great. Before we go to Willie, guys, this is why we're doing the call, because we're giving you HR executives straight from the resource themselves. I want to make sure you heard two things. First and foremost, Jill and also Nathaniel mentioned, make sure it's great that you apply for jobs. Obviously, anytime you can apply for multiple jobs is great. But whenever you have a moment to clearly connect with someone, go deep in regards to what you're looking for. As Jill stated, I'm a marketing major. I feel like I have a great skill set in PR or communications or social media. I would really be interested in these opportunities, 1, 2, 3. So that way, when someone like these executives or someone who's a leader in a company gets your email or get a LinkedIn note from you, which we're going to be giving you free LinkedIn training, so make sure you're connecting with us in the future, that they will have a feel for, okay, this person really loves social media. Let me connect with my social media manager and say, hey, this may be a great candidate for us to get to know. So that is really, really important to try to be specific, because executives are busy and a lot of times they don't have time to call someone or to as I say, go deeper and deeper and deeper. So when you can help them help you by connecting the dots to your interests, really, really important. So that was a great nugget that can really land you a phone call if you follow that. I just wanted to make sure the students heard that from you, Jill. Great. Willie?
Sure. I mean, Jill and Nathaniel, articulated, those points very well. I would just, just to kind of background, I consider myself an optimistic individual. And so, with that, I look for positive things in a negative situation. It's hard to find many positives in a pandemic, but one of the things that's positive is that we've mastered this technology of Zoom meetings. So we have this technology where we can communicate. Imagine if this would have happened 20 years ago. We would have been in a much worse condition, than we are right now. And so I say that to extend that to our social media as well. Most of us on this call are probably very adept at social media. So using that to leverage your skills in that area to an audience that is pretty captive right now. Many executives might be working from home and not traveling. And so there is this ability to interact a little bit more often with social media. And so if you're, to venture in that and cast a wide net, also be strategic. And what I mean by that is if, utilize your social medias accordingly. LinkedIn, we know, is professional, right? And it's going to be, different than the way you're going to utilize that in maybe a Facebook setting and so forth. But if you're going to target an opportunity, try to do some research on the organization and maybe the individual that you're targeting. try to look at the background and maybe ask an inquisitive or an interesting question about the background. Understand what they're looking for and become a networker yourself. The opportunity might not be for you, and maybe because of location or what have you, but you know other people, you know, other peers that are searching for opportunities as well. And if you can be that link that links a job to someone else or an opportunity, then those opportunities will eventually come to you as well. So it's not always about, you know, what you can get out of it yourself. It's about understanding, you know, what opportunities exist and how you may be, you know, an asset to someone else, you know, as you would want someone to do that for you as well. So just kind of keep those strategic, that strategy in mind as you're unrolling your social media strategy.
Tony, do you mind if I add one thing to that real quick?
No, absolutely, Jill.
Actually, Willie, that was so great. And it reminded me that our CEO, Doug Lebda, goes back to UVA to meet with a group of students about every other year. And at the end of every session, he'll say, if anybody has questions or has anything they want to follow up, here's my email, let me know. And he can be talking to 60 to 80 people and only 2 people will shoot some sort of follow-up note or a question. And you better believe that when he hears from those 2, we get those in our recruiting immediately and we begin to follow because it's showing, it differentiates you. It's showing that you're interested, that you are somewhat aggressive in what you're trying to do. You're learning about the company. So I also really challenge you that it's easy to kind of think, oh gosh, he didn't really mean that. If people are asking you to do that kind of thing, do it because so few others do it. It will make you stand out and differentiate yourself.
No, absolutely. Great point, Jill. You know, I'm going to go one step further. Guys, you're on the phone, you're on Facebook right now. These are great companies that you need to connect with. Most of you may not know or be a lot focused on LinkedIn, but in the business world, LinkedIn is kind of the place that we like to be and where we hang out as grown folks and adults. And so you're hopefully will begin to get more and more comfortable and familiar with LinkedIn. But this is a great way. Again, you got some great leaders. And so you want to make sure you start by letting people know that you appreciate their time and you appreciate them sharing their perspectives and then also any guidance. And I've never turned down anybody who reached out and just said, I appreciate if you can help me, point me in the right direction. Every leader normally will take the time to do that because they themselves once were in the same shoes that you were in today. So some great advice. Thank you for that. Remember, again, if you're on Facebook, send us a message. We'll get the question, or you can use the chat function if you have a question for our executives as we continue on. Did I miss, was it Willie, or did we?
I think we got everybody, but one more.
Okay, great.
I just, you know, one of the things that, you know, just this one little nugget for this particular group, you know, referrals are really powerful for us. And when I think about how many referrals I receive from our executives, our managers, even employees that come directly from me, I've got a friend whose son is just graduating from school. Can you take a look at the resume? You know, oftentimes, you know, a lot of those go to the top of the pile in terms of, you know, who are we looking at first and foremost, because they're coming from a valuable, a reliable resource, a reliable source within our organization. So I encourage each one of you, get to know, and this is something that I wish I would have done 20 plus years ago, get to know your friends, your friends' parents, what they do, your parents, you know, find out what, if they're working in corporate America, are they working in an industry that you're interested in, and let them know. Hey, I'm about to graduate. Here's my resume. Do you mind referring this to the HR department or the head of talent at the organization? That really goes a long way, but that's a little secret I would just tell you to kind of think about and take some time to kind of research who you might know, who you never really thought about, but that person may be your entrance into that organization.
No, great thought and nugget. We're going to call these nuggets. So guys, again, here's a gold nugget. You have friends who have parents who are employed in corporate America. If they're in companies or in industries that you think you may have an interest in, to Nathaniel's point, reach out and leverage that friendship. After all, they know you, they've seen you, they see your your hard work. They know who you are as an individual and your character, and ask them to make a connection or introduction, or to simply give you guidance on how to connect for opportunities in their company. So that is a huge gold nugget that you please need to write down, share, memorize, but very, very important. Speaking of, Nathaniel, going back to your, when you were in school or your younger self in college, what advice would you give to the students today that you would give yourself while you're in college? And we'll go with Nathaniel, Jill, and then Willie.
Give myself while I was in college. One, I would say, be patient, because a lot of times, especially as you're reaching your junior year, you come into your senior year, the stress of now going out on your own, finding employment starts to really creep up on you. But know that this whole career thing is really a marathon. It's not a sprint. You've got to be patient with one, exploring opportunities that best fit you, but then also you have to really dissect and understand, do they fit you, not just from a pure technical work perspective, but does that organization have the same values that you share? If you're big on volunteering, social commitments, you might want to explore that side. And then as you're coming out, especially your junior and senior year, and you're working with career services, you have to be very intentional. I think Jill mentioned it. You have to be very intentional about your focus, about what you want to do, and you have to be aggressive at getting there, because you're competing with a lot of individuals that are graduating with that degree, coming out with their bachelor's, coming out with their master's, in some cases coming out with their PhD. You're competing with all of that particular talent, but you have to be aggressive. You have to be very patient. You have to be very thorough in that process. And if you're in a position to where you've got another summer coming up, or you have the ability to take on an internship or co-op, paid or unpaid, if you have that ability. Some people don't have the ability to do something that's unpaid, but if you're fortunate and you do, the experience itself is going to go a long way in the early part of your career. And really, your ability to achieve or get that first job, I would say just that part would go a long way. And then the last thing I would say is, once you enter in your first opportunity, I can tell you the first part of your career, first 2 or 3 is really exciting, and then there's a little bit of lull. But the middle to the second half of your career gets really fast and speeds up to a warp speed that you never really expected. So you just have to be patient, just be consistent in your thought process.
Great, Jill.
Well, I'm echoing a lot of what Nathaniel said. He said it so well. I do think some self-awareness. I think for you to really be thinking about what do I think I'm good at doing, and what do I really enjoy doing, and get really clear about that. So that will help guide you in finding this job or a place that fills your soul. And meet your value set. I think that's really important. The other thing I would tell you is don't put too much pressure on yourself for this first job. I watch a lot of college kids who just feel like I've got to find the perfect job and I've got to find the exact fit. And what I will tell you is try to find something that does fill your soul, that you think you're going to be good. But if the first job, you're not sure if I'm really even going to like this or not, that's okay. Take the job. Get in there, and then have a learner's attitude of, now that I'm in this job, I'm going to understand what corporate life is like. Internships are a great way to help you do this. I'm going to learn what I need to do to perform and be successful, and I'm going to learn some skills. And once you do that, that will then set you up for either getting onto a career path you really care about, or either another company you care about. So just don't put too much pressure on yourself in finding the perfect first job. Very few people find the perfect first job. So I think those would probably be my two extra nuggets that I would add to all that Nathaniel said.
Great. Good nuggets. Willie?
Sure, I'll just build on both of those excellent points by Jill and Nathaniel. Definitely get to know your placement office. Know the personnel there, know how the companies come into the placement office, how often they come, what companies come. Do your research so you understand, how those organizations interact with your own college or university, and make sure that you're familiar with the process. And, that takes some time, but definitely if I went back to look at my college years, that's something I would have done immediately, is to make sure that those individuals knew me and I understood the process, because that will definitely help identify opportunities. And the next thing is, just understand how unique this time is in your lives. And sometimes it's easy to be in a hurry, to want to get out into the workforce, and I understand that. And we know that college and universities, it's not cheap, right? And so there is an incentive to get out and get going as soon as possible. But do understand that you're probably not going to be in this type of environment again in your life, where you can have the freedom to explore different areas and subjects and so forth like that. So take advantage of that. Take those elective classes, broaden your exposure to that. If you have an opportunity to study abroad, I would take advantage of that. That's something that wasn't too prevalent, when I was in school, but that with our global economy, that's something that can broaden your opportunities as well. So yeah, your placement office, and just, taking time to smell the roses and enjoy and explore, areas that you might not have, aligned necessarily with your career, but expanding your mind and opportunities.
Great. Let's talk about real quick, as students begin to get into the workforce, whether it's in co-ops or intern or even full-time, what's the one thing you would advise students to do in order to compete in the corporate environment? How to make that transition? So, hey, whether you go and you get this opportunity at one of these great companies and partners we have at NAMMBA, or another partner we're going to introduce and connect you with, whether it's for an intern or a co-op or full-time, when you get the opportunity as a student and you transition from student to professional, what would each one of you kind of say, hey, here's the one thing you need to keep in mind in that transition from student to professional? We'll go with Willie, Jill, and Nathaniel.
Sure, and everyone goes to that transition somewhat differently than others, but just be mindful of your environment, be observant of that. And I think the one tool that is helpful to me in my current career, and early on as well, is be open to feedback and criticism. Seek feedback and criticism so that you can assess where you are, and then you want to apply that feedback going forward. And you may not agree with the feedback, but that is the perception about you. And you need to accept that as a reality. And if that's not the reality, then change the perception. But you have to receive that information, accept it, and have a strategy about how you're going to address it, expand it, what have you. But it's all about that continuous improvement. You won't have it down the first day or the first week or the first month or the first year. But if you continue to add things to your tool chest, you continue to seek advice from others that have been there, those that are observing your performance, and you apply that to me, I think it will be a valuable asset to you.
Great. Before we go to Jill, I'm sorry, Jill, one nugget. I saw a nugget in there that I think is very important for students. One of the things I always do is what Willie said. Ask when you start your job. Don't ask how you're doing. Ask what can you do better and how can you become better. So remember that. Ask how can you become better when you start that new job, because feedback will tell you how you need to grow, where you need to learn, how you need to develop. Another nugget. Jill?
It's a great nugget, and Willie, exclamation point on what Willie just said. Be a seeker of feedback, be a learner, and be a lifelong learner. I mean, I still am learning so much every day, and people are pointing out my warts every day, and I appreciate it. It helps me to get better. And have that attitude that people are there to make you better. So take their advice, take their feedback to help do that. The only other thing I would add is be a great team player. And you hear that a lot. But people watch people pretty early in their careers, and are they just out for themselves and their own success, or are they willing to bring people in, lift people up, invite people to be a part of their success? We watch that because that tells us a lot about leaders and emerging leaders. So that's just something to pay attention to too. How can you not only lift yourself up, but how can you lift up others around you and support them?
Yeah, all great points, and I would definitely add some additional exclamation marks to what Jill and Willie just said. And I love how Jill phrased the learner's mentality, because that's really what you need to have. If you have that learner's mentality, you're willing to soak in information, and leaders see that. The other things that I would add is that get involved. So many of the organizations have things that you can be involved in, whether it be employee resource groups, volunteering, special projects. Get yourself involved as much as you possibly can. Never say no. The early part of your career, you have that opportunity to do so, to really kind of shape and create the person you are in that organization. So raise your hand for everything. Regardless of how outlandish it may be, a lot of times got to fit within your skill set and what you want to do. But years ago, I took on an opportunity. Walmart said, "Do you want to go to Seoul, Korea for 3 months?" I said, "Sure, I'm going." But that was 20 years ago. I was young and I can get up and do it. But I did that for exposure, just to be visible, and also to learn, like I said. So get involved, be a member of the employee resource group, be a leader on one of the teams, get socially involved in in volunteerism, lead some of the projects, work with your market president or leader or regional who's leading that function. Getting your name out there is really a big part of the first part of your career, in my opinion. But that learner's attitude, I love that. I'm going to have to steal that phrase, Jill.
Well, I tell you what, we're at the top of the hour. Byron, I don't know if you hear me or not, but I'm just trying to see if we've got one more question, if we've got time to just quickly go around and do one quick question for the panelists as we begin to switch to our next session coming up. Mentoring, how important is it for us? Thank you, Byron. How important is it for us and for students, rather, to find a mentor in their areas of interest? Can you quickly just give them advice on how to find a mentor or how important a mentor is? We'll go with Willie, Jill, and then Nathaniel.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And when we talk about a mentor, it might not be a formal mentoring relationship, but you're seeking the guidance or a relationship or a network with an individual or individuals. Should be a variety of mentors that can provide some guidance, some advice, and some feedback to you. And you may have different levels of relationship with mentors, but I think just to kind of summarize, it should be a diverse group. So, you should, have individuals that, come from various backgrounds. You will have different relationships with those individuals, and it's up to the mentee to really nurture and maintain that relationship, going forward. But absolutely. And some, like I said, they may be informal, but you can manage that relationship and seek the attention and advice that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think about it like a board of advisors almost. I think to Willie's point, I know in my career as a woman, it was very hard for me to negotiate salaries and ask for promotions. And so I sought out a man that I saw do that really well to coach me up on how to do that. When we were new in our diversity work, I sought out a Black woman who really worked with me about the impact I was having as a leader, good, bad, and ugly. So I try to find ways of where do I have deficits, where do I have needs, who do I see that does it well, and then reach out to say, I really would like your help in this area, and focus where they can most help you. I still have them. I mean, I think that's another lifelong thing that we should all do.
I agree with all those points. And the only thing I can add would be, don't look at it as a singular relationship. Have yourself a mentoring team. You may have an individual like one of my first mentors was our chief HR officer at Walmart, a black male, leading an employee base of 1.3 million employees. Obviously, I could look up to him. I'm a black male. But my other mentor that I sought out was an individual that was a white female that worked in logistics. And I brought her on as a mentor because I just observed, liked her style, and I wanted somebody that could be also somebody that could be honest with me. And just telling me, hey, Nate, you're doing the right thing, Renee. I don't know what you're thinking about here. You need people that are going to be honest with you and be very direct, but don't, I think it's okay, in my opinion, to seek out multiple mentors and have yourself a mentoring or a sponsorship team, so to speak.
Great. Well, first of all, some great gold nuggets. I want to thank both Willie, Jill, and Nathaniel for taking time out, pouring into our students across America. We also want to thank you guys for being partners and supporters. And so to learn more about each one of these companies, guys, please go to their website. We're going to also show you our NAMMBA Talent Hub at the end of this session as well, where you'll be able to begin to go to and see all of our partners and connect with job opportunities for co-op interns. But thank you, Willie, Jill, and Nathaniel, for your time. We truly appreciate the great insight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Next up, we're going to keep rolling because we appreciate everyone's time, and we've got a phenomenal speaker coming up for us next, guys. And so you've learned a lot from HR executives. Now you're going to hear from a leader who's in the industry as well. Byron Boston. Byron, if you can pop on screen here. Byron is the president, CEO, and co-chief investment officer of Dynex Capital Incorporated. Byron, first of all, thank you for your patience, and thank you for being here today. I know you're a very busy leader in our industry, and so we want to maximize your time. I just want to jump right into it for these students. One, can you just share a little bit about your organization and what your organization does so that they get a feel for that, and then a little bit about your background so that they know your journey, and then we'll jump into the questions real quick.
Sure. Okay, let me do a sound.
Yes. Sound good. We hear you. Uh-oh. Byron? Can you hear me, Byron?
All right.
Okay.
So
Sounds like we
let
have a
me
little bit of feedback
explain.
there.
Okay, great. So let me explain a little bit about Dynex Capital. We are a 30-year-old. Did I lose you?
Okay, now you're back on.
I am sorry about that.
Yep. Looks like we got an intermittent internet or Wi-Fi coming through, Byron.
Difficulties today.
There you go.
Unfortunate.
One second.
Fine this entire time, and now we've got a problem. Is it better?
Yep, we can hear you now.
I think this is actually on my end. Okay.
Okay, you're
Let's
good
try to
now.
move
You
this here
sound
and try to
solid.
get this. Okay.
Yep.
So as I was mentioning about Dynex Capital, 30-year organization, we are an asset manager. So as you just heard from HR representatives from the mortgage industry, where they are generally making loans, I represent an asset manager where we actually either own the loans or we own securities backed by the loans. We're investors. We're called Dynex Capital. We've been in business for 30 years. We are within an industry called mortgage real estate investment trusts. Relatively smaller industry, specialist industry, but we specialize in owning, managing mortgage-backed securities, mortgage loans, or other assets that are created by the organizations that you just, Lending Tree or Comerica, or other mortgage originators. My background personally is went to Dartmouth College as an undergrad, left Dartmouth College and went to New York City to a Wall Street bank, and I became a banker. Then eventually I got my MBA at the University of Chicago, came back to Wall Street as a mortgage-backed securities trader starting in 1986. And since that time, my career has been focused on the mortgage industry, either as a trader or an asset manager, in one little short stint as a bond salesperson. I started as an entrepreneur. Started my entrepreneurial journey, let's say, in 2004. I started a company called Sunset Financial Resources, which was a mortgage REIT. We started it in January 2004, did an IPO and sold it in October of 2006. Dynex Capital, I've been here for 12 years. It's more of a turnaround situation, similar entrepreneurial venture where I came in to rebuild the company. Since I've been at the company, I've raised over $500 million in capital and grown the balance sheet probably from about 1 or 200 million to over 5 billion today.
Great. Thank you, Byron, for that. We're going to jump in. And again, we appreciate your patience and your joining us today. It's no secret the mortgage industry is going through a tremendous amount of change. As a leader, what's the one thing that you see is going to be a challenge for our industry over the next 12 months?
I actually believe the bigger challenge is, if you think of the world, for those of you who may have taken economics, I always think of a macroeconomic scenario and a microeconomic scenario, and macro being the larger, we're referring to the larger global environment in which the mortgage industry or finance industry operates. We have a very high-risk global environment. We have a health crisis that is evolving. We don't know how that will ultimately play out. That leads to economic impacts that we're not certain how that will play out. And that ultimately will impact the well-being of individuals. And when we think about our industry specifically, individuals are important because these are the people who are borrowing money. And as such, it is uncertain at this point, how will the overall economy evolve and how will that ultimately impact the industry? Today, the industry is in phenomenal shape. Interest rates are low. Homeowners are able to borrow money at low rates. The companies that you just saw on the screen are able to make a lot of loans. Their business is booming. My business, we're making money at Dynex Capital. We've assumed that we will make money in any environment, whether it's a low interest rate environment or a high interest rate environment. So we're a little different in that sense. But when I think about the industry as a whole and challenges, the largest challenge happens to be global macroeconomic risk that could create another scenario in March of 2020, which was a major, that showed the fragility of the overall global financial system.
Great. And the reason why that's important to everyone on the phone is, your future is predicated upon how the environment, the economic environment, excels or doesn't excel. And so you want to try to begin to understand economics and the macro outlook, both on what's going on here in America, but also overseas and abroad, because that also impacts, from a financial standpoint, what goes on here within America, which impacts corporate confidence, which impacts, i.e., how companies will feel about hiring. So, we're also giving a little bit of education around macro and microeconomics and what does that mean for you in terms of your job outlook over the next 12 months as well. Brian, what characteristics do leaders look for in today's students as they enter into the workforce?
So in answering that question, Tony, I'm going to throw another little add-on to what you just said. Because you're young, don't get mesmerized by this environment. The world will change again. There are always opportunities. Don't talk yourself out of a good career because it seems like you're in a negative global environment because of the pandemic. And this may be the first crisis that you've experienced. Maybe you were around during the financial crisis where you can remember it. But if you look throughout history, this is not the first time that the globe has been challenged or human beings have been challenged. So don't talk yourself into a crisis mode or a depressed mode. Always believe there's opportunity for you to build your career. So, and from that perspective, I am always looking for certain characteristics. So number one will always be integrity, honesty, ethics, I'm going to always dig into the background of any professional, whether you're 60 years old and you've been at a career and I'm looking to hire you, or whether you're 18 years old. I'm going to try to dig and understand that your character and the ethics and integrity that you bring to the table. I don't want to work with dishonest people. I don't want to work with people who are disrespectful to others. I don't want to work with mean people. We at Dynex Capital work very hard to create a very favorable work environment. I want to work with good teammates. Do you understand what it feels like to be on a team? Are you willing to learn what it feels like to be on a team? Passion is a large factor that will drive many different outcomes. Passion can show up in a high school student or a college student in a variety of ways, looking at the types of things that you're interested in and how you pursue those interests throughout your life to date. What also is important, and this is a big one. I wrote a word to myself, and I'm going to date myself. I call it no misfit toys. And so what I mean by that is get to know yourself. The better you know yourself, the more attractive you will be to me. Or if you're in the process of getting to know yourself, which is the prior speaker spoke of, you know, don't worry about that first job. Take that first job. You're in the process of getting to know yourself, potentially with that first job. And I did the same thing when I started my career. The advice was given to me when I was 18. I was told to get a certain type of job at a Wall Street bank where I could get trained, and then I could search myself for the type of career that I wanted to pursue for the long term. And so from age 18 to about age 26 was a period of simply learning myself and getting myself positioned into a career, which I continue to pursue today at 62. So I made some decisions at that age, but it took 8 years of really getting to know myself, learning about other careers, interviewing professionals, looking for that opportunity. And when I say no misfit toys, look at yourself, be real with yourself. Don't look at yourself as a salesperson when you really don't have sales skills. You really don't like what a salesperson does. You're playing yourself in the wrong position.
Great feedback. Byron, share a little bit about, you know, Dynex Capital. You shared some early points, but connect the dots for the students on Facebook and online in terms of the role your company plays in the real estate finance industry and how it impacts their local community. You know, they're right there in their neighborhood.
Absolutely. So think of the housing finance system or the real estate finance system. Real estate being the buildings that you see and the land that you see all around you. The finance part of that happens to be, how does a landlord or how does a homeowner actually own that property? In most situations, they're borrowing money. Where do they get the money from? The money ultimately comes from savers. So Dynex Capital, we take money from savers and we move that money through the system ultimately to the homeowner or to the mall owner, where you go and shop at the local department store or grocery store, to the local landlord. We have made loans on warehouse facilities, whether it's an Amazon fulfillment facility or some other type of warehouse. So we're in effect what we call an asset manager. We sell stock or we sell bonds or we sell some other type of instrument to savers, and we promise them some type of return under certain conditions. We take that cash, we bring that cash back through the system, which ultimately is provided to the American homeowner or the American landlord or the mall owner. And how that impacts your community, if we didn't have this process, and it doesn't work like this in every country. We are fortunate in the United States to have what I would consider the best housing finance system in the world, period. And when you go ask your parents or go ask another relative or someone you know, what type of mortgage do you have on your house? If they say they have a 30-year mortgage, that's very unique to the United States. You rarely find it in any other country around the globe, because most people will never lend to another human being for 30 years. But there's certain special factors about our housing finance system that allows that to happen. At Dynex Capital, we are long-term holders of these mortgage assets. So if we make you a loan, we're willing to hold that asset for till maturity. Or if we buy a security that's backed by a loan that's ultimately to you, we're managing that asset. So if we put it at a high level, Tony, we are taking cash from savers, we're moving it through the system ultimately to the borrowers. We're creating communities, we're supporting communities. We're allowing those in America. My dad, our house that I grew up in, my dad was a World War II veteran. Our house was an important part of our financial well-being, but more importantly, it was an extremely important part of our family. That's where we gathered together. So us supporting housing, we're supporting communities, we're building communities, and as far as I'm concerned, we're supporting our country.
Great, great. Brian, recognizing that you are a leader in a company, you're a leader in an industry, share your perspective on how you've made decisions in your career with these students, which have led to growth opportunities.
So let me start again, back to what I gave you a second ago about that first job. So when I was accepted at Dartmouth College in 1977, I immediately reached out to an alum that I had met in the process when I was looking at college, my college search process. And that alum ultimately introduced me to another older gentleman who was a Dartmouth alum in St. Louis, Missouri. That gentleman coached me for the 4 years I was at Dartmouth to get my career started. And he gave me a piece of advice that I just explained to you, which was, he directed me to a bank. He said a bank would be a great place for me to be trained and to start to search for the type of career ultimately that I would want to pursue over the long term. So that's one of the best decisions I believe I made. I pursued that first job, which was 3 years as a corporate banker with Chemical Bank out of New York City. While I was working and learning how to be a good banker, I networked with other professionals to learn about their careers. In that networking process, I met someone in a career that I had never heard of before, which happened to be fixed income or bond trading. It sounded extremely interesting. Then I focused my attention on learning more about bond trading on Wall Street. And eventually I made that my goal, was to be a Wall Street fixed income bond trader. And I specifically made it a goal to move into the mortgage-backed securities, or the housing finance securities generated through the housing finance system. And that would have been 1986 when I got out of grad school. I went back to grad school with this as a goal. And so getting to know yourself at that young age, looking to take advantage of that first job, but understand the process by which you learn about careers that you're not aware of. You are limited in your knowledge of how many career paths there may be in the world today. So make it a quest to learn more about careers that you're not familiar with. Oh, sure, you'll turn on Sports Center and you see tons of announcers and sportscasters. You might turn on the news. You might see some TV show about lawyers. But when I grew up, there were no TV shows about fixed income bond traders. There were no shows about Wall Street. I had to expand myself and get to know people that I didn't know who are outside of my comfort zone to learn about those careers. So that was a big one. I would call that between 1977 and 1984. I was doing that search. Once I made that decision, I went back to grad school. I spent some time with myself establishing principles. What principles are really important for me in life? One of them was family, it was being married, it was having kids. And as such, I started to judge jobs and judge careers by how well would that allow me to be married and have kids. And I worked for Goldman Sachs in the summer of 1985. An article came out while I worked there that said 90-something% of Goldman, I think it was 90-something% of Goldman's partners were divorced. And I was like, you know what? In their investment banking division. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to be in the investment banking division, because those guys all look like they're divorced. And I want to get married and I want to be a family guy. So that was also very instrumental in my decision to own a fixed income. Let me give you another point that was a real key. It was probably in my late 30s, mid to late 30s, 35 to 40. I started to look at continuing to build my skill sets, which put me in position for ultimately being an entrepreneur some 10 years later. So you're constantly trying to, you first learn yourself, you seek out the right type of career, but then you're in a continual growing learning process to build your skill sets, such that when you get an opportunity like I did to be an entrepreneur in or around, call it my mid 40s, I was ready and I was able to take advantage of the opportunity.
Man, some great nuggets. Really quick, one thing to remember, seek out that mentor, look at and understand where you want to grow your career, but also understand that where you start is not where you're going to end. And it's important that you truly have a game plan. So, Byron, last question for you, sir. When you look back at your career, at the end of the day, as we say, what would you tell these students in terms of what's important once they enter into the job market? What should they think about on how they impact both their companies, their teammates, and their communities? What advice would you give them in terms of leaving a legacy?
First and foremost, let me just say that by doing that work early on and getting to know myself and matching myself with this career path, this isn't work. It's people call work. I've integrated work and home, integrated between the two. I absolutely enjoy what I do. I am an economics nerd. I'm an undergrad economics major. I'm an economics nerd today. I thoroughly enjoy it. So if I gave you some advice, which is what I give my sons, I'm trying to get them in positions where in their life, as they get up and they go to work in the morning, it doesn't feel like it's something that they don't want to do. It's something that they're excited about because this falls right in their major area of interest. So look, if I gave you one piece of advice right now at this young age, stay focused on the future. You're going to be you can be distracted by other friends, or let me say it differently. Don't let your friends distract you. Don't build your self-worth or your knowledge of yourself based on your friends. This part of what I'm saying is an individual effort. You network with other people, but you must stay focused. If you're 18, if you're 19, if you're 20, if you're 21, in a very short period of time, you're going to be 30, 31, 32, 33. And then in another short period of time, you're going to be 45, 46, 47, 48. Life will continue to move forward. So you don't really have time to sit around and waste a lot of time. One commodity that you'll never get back again is time. Use your time wisely for yourself, thinking about the future. In your 20s, work really hard to set yourself up to make life easier in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then I heard a phrase, I think it said, learn, earn, and return. So when you're learning, it takes a lot of focus. And when I brought up friends, it's because a lot of your friends won't necessarily have that focus. Don't lose your focus because of your friends. Learn, earn, return. And that learning stage, which I call 20 to 30 years old, you need to be focused. It takes a lot of work and you can set yourself up for a much better life in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. Don't be one of the people who find themselves at 45 to 50, just having bumbled along in life. And now they're saying, what do I do now? Or, life hasn't turned out like I planned for it to turn out. Learn, then earn, and then you know what? Somewhere in your later years of life, if you're in great position, you can return and you can start sharing, you can give back.
Wow. Powerful. That wasn't a nugget. That was a gold brick that he just dropped on everyone. Learn as much. Stay focused on yourself. You're doing that today because you're on this town hall finding and learning about careers and listening to leaders like Byron and all the other great leaders that we've had. So I want to encourage and applaud you for first of all, focusing on your careers in learning. But then secondly, as Byron said, you know, once you focus and you're passionate about it, that earning opportunity will come. And then last but not least, as a leader in our industry, Byron, as well as others that you're going to see coming on these events and these webinars, they're all giving back to help you become one of the next leaders in our industry. So Byron, I want to thank you for your time, man. It has been always great seeing you, but your words, your wisdom, and certainly your insight to what Dynex Capital is and a different perspective of the career have been invaluable. So thank you again for your time, and we appreciate you joining us today for our inaugural town hall for college students.
Good luck to everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Byron. Take care. Stay safe. Wow. A lot of great excitement, guys. Really quick. So what will happen is every month in our town hall, we're going to bring on leaders like that. We've got some great CEOs lined up, some more HR companies and professionals for next month. And so what we want to do now is just real quickly introduce you to the Talent Hub. We've created a resource that's going to be free for you in college. So if you're a full-time or part-time college student, we've got a resource called the Student Challenge that essentially we want to help introduce students to careers in banking, in mortgage, in real estate, in fintech, technology. You're going to hear more about that in our upcoming webinars and town halls. What we've done is created a one-stop website and a resource that will support you as a college student or a grad in 4 areas. Job assistance. Yes, you heard me say earlier, our mission is we want to connect 50,000 students like you to exciting careers and exciting executives and companies just like the ones that you've seen today. Secondly, we're going to provide you with free resources for financial literacy because we also want to make sure that each one of you, when you get that job, that you can also become a homeowner and build and grow your wealth through home ownership, as well as to be able to have a place of your own that you call home in your community. Third, we're going to be providing free career development resources. So later on, you're going to see it and have an opportunity to attend free webinars on how to LinkedIn, how to network in a pandemic, how to have a very solid resume. We've created a list of resources that we're going to be providing through this program that will be 100% free to you as a student. And then last but not least, mental wellness. We know that some of you may be going through a lot of stress. Some of you, in fact, may have family members that have also been negatively impacted since this pandemic and have lost their job. And what we want to do is make sure that you know that there are free resources that NAMMBA, in partnership with the American Psychiatric Association, is going to provide to help you handle stress, anxiety, depression. We are here to help you be successful. And most importantly, we want to let you know that the mortgage industry, the real estate finance industry, we care about you. We care about your future. And most importantly, we want you to be a part of our future in our industry. And so that's what today is about. We have a talent hub. We call it the hub. So one of the things I need you to do after you get off this call is go tell all your friends to connect to the hub. This is where they will be able to go on to the student hub. It's for students only. You're a full-time student or you just graduated. You're going to be able to see jobs, interns. You're going to be able to register for some of these trainings that we talked about that will be totally free to you. But the beautiful part is you get to connect with the leaders, the companies, many more companies that will be coming onto our NAMMBA College Hub because we have companies in our industry right now is hiring. Last week alone, we placed 25 college students with jobs. Now, that's just beginning. That was from one company. We have several opportunities right now for students full-time, as well as those who are looking for interns and co-ops. The hub is where you need to go to upload your resume, fill out a profile, and to put your LinkedIn profile so that when these companies are looking for talent, they're going to come to our hub and then they're going to find you, and we're going to give you all the training and the resources that you need to be prepared for an exciting career in the real estate finance services industry. So the other thing we want to share with you is we've got a 5-year plan, guys, that over the next couple of years, once we get going again, we're looking to establish chapters on college campuses. So if you're in a college and you want us to put a NAMMBA chapter in your college, in your school of business, your school of engineering, connect with us at NAMMBA. Let us know you're interested in helping to bring a chapter to your college campus. But over the next 5 years, we're going to be rolling out chapters on college campuses, and then we're going to have professionals from across the country come and talk to you about careers in our industry on the local level. Then you'll have a chance to attend regional events, and then you're going to have a chance to attend national conferences where you're going to be awarded jobs on the spot for companies who are looking to hire the best and the brightest. So to go to the Talent Hub, just simply go to NAMMBAcareers.com. And if you're a student, you can get your registration. NAMMBAcareers.com is where you're going to go to register and get connected to the hub. And again, everything that we do at NAMMBA for you as a student will be free. Last but not least, to learn more about NAMMBA, just simply go to NAMMBA.org. You can reach out to me there as well. Please share next month's presentation. You're going to get a link. When you get this link, send it to every student and friend you know at your school and at other schools, because our whole goal is to connect students, help students in their careers, and most importantly, share about the wonderful opportunities. Again, I got started in this career by learning about the opportunities. And by learning about opportunities, it has literally changed my life. And what we want to do at NAMMBA is help get you connected to some great companies in a great industry, and hopefully have your life change for a positive, better situation. And then most importantly, to have you to help be a positive change in your local community. Again, guys, I'm Tony Thompson, the founder and CEO. I want to thank you. I've done a lot of webinars, but this is the best webinar that I've done, because this is about connecting the future of our industry. Stay tuned. Make sure you sign up at NAMMBA.org to get on our email list. And next month, September, same time, same place, we'll have a new set of companies, jobs, technology companies, CEOs, HR executives, sharing with you what's going on in our industry, giving you the nuggets, and then most importantly, by then, we're going to have some more exciting jobs, because we're getting ready for internships in January. So if you're looking for a co-op and intern, now's the time to get ready for the Talent Hub, NAMMBAcareers.org. NAMMBAcareers.org. Go there today, find out, and share it with all your friends in your schools. This concludes our town hall for today. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, stay positive, and most importantly, stay focused. I'll see you soon. Take care.